Hi, welcome to the Actors Side. Today, so happy to have Kevin James here talking to us. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Pete. Thanks. Nice to be here.
And this is called the Actors Side.
Wow.
But I have a feeling you didn't start out to be an actor. That wasn't your first goal in life, was it?
No. It was always, I loved sports. I wanted to be an athlete. And I think the dream died Division III football, just not going. There were guys that were playing a lot better than I was, so I was like, I got to find something else to do.
How did you stumble into this world, going to school and doing plays? Or?
You know, believe it or not, I was a shy kid. I was kind of to myself, unless I was around my friends, and I was funny with my friends and had a lot of fun with them. But outside, I was kind of to myself, and I never envisioned a job like this. But it was I got into Cortland was the only a SUNY school that I got into that was at the time I was playing football, and I was a decently bright kid, but it just never went to class. I wasn't great that way, and I couldn't get to a really good school. So I went to Cortland and wasn't doing even great there because I wasn't going to classes. Kids go to class. What I started to do was I wanted to keep playing football, so I said I found some classes that would be easier for me to take, and you don't have to show up all the time. And someone recommended me taking a public speaking class, never thinking, by the way, that I would have to speak publicly. You know, they said it's an easy credit, a couple credits, and I went and I did it. And the teacher said that's what your final is going to be, is you're going to get up and you're going to talk about something. And I started to panic right there, not realizing I thought it was just going to be, you just learn about public speaking or something. I had no idea. I was such an idiot. I had to do it. And you were up there talking about widgets or whatever it was you were selling, but you had to sell to this the class. And I panicked. I hated it. But I got up and I did it. And it was where I got my first few laughs from them, and I kind of felt the room change, and you know, my nerves kind of settled down a little bit, and I got through the class, and it was just something about it that it was a spark that for me, that I was like, man, I don't know what I want to do, but there's something that involved doing that. Then I kind of enjoyed it, you know, and I was still very shy outside, but I felt more comfortable now, you know, speaking to an audience almost. And that's when I went back home, and my brother at the time was starting to get into stand-up and do some improv. And I said I wanted to try something because, again, the sports were kind of done with at that point. And I ended up getting into community theater and trying an improv group and getting into that. And once I did that, that was it for me. I mean.
And you developed your stand-up style, your comedy style, which is very distinctive. And how long did it take to get that?
Well, in the beginning, I mean, I think most comedians will kind of follow, you know, somebody they want. Like for me, it was Robert Klein. My family watched Robert Klein's HBO specials, and that's literally what we loved. Every night we would just watch this, you know, each special, and I think I was doing, you know, my cadence was like Klein's at the time. You know, you just feel yourself doing it. And my brother Gary was Richard Lewis. He loved him at the time. So it was like we're both doing, you know, I'm like, we can't do this. It just felt like you maybe weren't conscious about it, but it was like you just felt the rhythm of this. And so then you kind of, once you do it enough, you start developing your own, you know, style, and you kind of try to say what makes me unique from, you know, from that, and, you know, what makes me different. But I didn't want to do political stuff. I didn't want to do cultural stuff because I didn't want it to be, I didn't want to have to change my material. Yeah. You know, I wanted to write material that I could do everywhere too, across the country too, because I was thinking like, hey man, if I can't do this, if I do this in New York and it doesn't work down south or this or that, you know, I wanted to kind of do universal stuff that everybody could kind of appreciate.
Were you surprised? I mean, it's a crapshoot in television, you know, trying to get a pilot and then get a series and then have it succeed. And then have it succeed as wildly as King of Queens, your first sitcom. Now.
Yeah, and especially once Ray started taking off, I go, what are the chances for me? This is not going to happen now. But you know, I've always been kind of naive in the way of just, you know, just go, keep doing it, and hope for the best. And things kind of worked out that way, and you know, we hooked up with the right people, and it just started rolling. And you know, I remember the first few seasons, we were constantly looking over our shoulder, waiting to be canceled, and is this going to happen? And you know, and we're hanging on, and we were never the shiny show. We were never as big as Raymond and Friends. I remember all these shows at that time, but we kept staying in there, and we were, you know, we were building an audience, and it was a solid enough show, and that really, you know, it kept us along, and, you know, I was thankful to them for that.
Well, it was the chemistry also of that whole family, and Leah Remini,
Yeah.
and obviously
Yeah.
Stiller, and, you know, the whole group.
Yeah, well, Leah was the first one. I mean, I knew going in that was our #1 choice, and she was on a show at the time called Fired Up, I think, with Sharon Lawrence, whatever it was. It was a show that was going, so we couldn't get her, and we auditioned everybody, and we had chemistry with some people, but I'd be you know, and I kept going back. I'm like, man, if we can get Leah, I'm telling you, she would be great. I can just feel it. I just know she would be fantastic. And her show got canceled, and we were like, yeah, so happy. I knew, you know, we got word it was going down. I was like, oh, all right, you know. And we called her in. She didn't even want to come in because she was so devastated by her show going that she didn't want to hook up, you know, on another show, jump into another show, and she just didn't want to be let down again right away. She wanted to take time, and we convinced her to come in for a meeting, and we just hit it off. We just hit it off right away, and she, you know, that was it. We were so happy to get her, and Jerry was the same thing. If we, you know, Jerry made that show. You know, he really, you know, both of them, because I was the one lacking, certainly the acting, but they were, you know, they had the experience, and they were just, you know, fantastic to bounce off of. You know, they were
Well,
just
you fell
great.
into that character, Doug, too, so effortlessly. You played him in different shows.
Yeah, oh
and
yeah,
crossovers
right,
and
right,
things,
yeah.
so.
Well, that's, yeah, CBS wanted to get you out, so I was on, I think, Cosby's show
Right.
as Doug, and Ted Danson's Becker as, you know, so we did a bunch of that crossover promotion stuff. But I didn't start as Doug on Ray. I think I turned into that later on. That was a little weird, but they just changed my character, and it was fine. It was, you know, it worked out all right.
Now, how many years King of Queens was on?
It was 9 seasons.
9 seasons,
Yeah.
which is a hell of a run.
Yeah.
And but right towards the end of that, you became this big movie star. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, what are the odds of that too happening? Getting
Again, I think, honestly, I mean, as big as the King of Queens was, at the time, it wasn't the shiny, you know, and it wasn't just everything, which kind of helped, I think, my, you know, going for film, because it wasn't so identified, I think, as that. I think people kind of allowed me to try other characters, and it worked. And, you know, since then, the King of Queens has become so much bigger to me, I think, even in syndication, than it was even on the original run. I mean, I get noticed more now from that than I did even then. But I think it was just the right amount of people kind of knowing who you are and getting, you know, familiar with it. That when we came out, you know, and I did Hitch with Will, and Will brought me onto that show, which was
great comedy. The two of you were terrific together in that, and that was a big hit.
That was massive. That was man, I remember.
Great script.
Oh, it was great. But that, you know, that one changed me, because Will gave me that opportunity to work on that, and it was just, you know, he was the biggest movie star in the world. He's just the biggest. And it was so great to be able to work with him and to do comedy. It was surreal for me to be in scenes with him where he was giving me more of the you know, like where I think other actors, if they said you see you getting too many laughs, they kind of, hey, pump the brakes, you know, or shift, you know, a couple of your lines are gone the next day. You don't see them. But, you know, Will was so secure in who he was that he wanted me to be funnier each time, and he just kept pushing it and pushing it, and that was amazing. It was surreal to me at the time. I couldn't believe it was actually happening, and I was just so happy to be part of that movie. And Andy Tennant was the director. It was just a great experience for me.
I'm just wondering what made you decide this year to come back to CBS, to Monday nights, to that zone that you had been in for so long with Kevin Can Wait?
Because I missed it. I missed the family, the sitcom. When you do stand up, and then there's movies, and this like bridges the two of them for me. They all kind of feed into each other for me, and they help one another. But it's like this was the bridge for me. It was a live audience. I missed that live audience. You know, I still love doing movies. I still want to go out and do them and do them on my break. But I missed that drive, you know, and I loved working with a great cast, and putting that together. and just that feeling of being a family and having it there each week. And, you know, a movie, you do a movie, you work on one movie, it's 2 years before, you know, it could come out, and it's like, it's so much work, and if it doesn't open well, or it's so much pressure, you're like, oh man, it's
You're
all
dead
that work.
Friday night at 9 o'clock.
Exactly. It's happened, you know, and you know, it's heartbreaking, and it's just so devastating. And you know, you're like, oh man, what can I do better? How can we, you know, make it? Well, the TV show, you can. You know, you have shows that you can feel. You get the reaction from the audience right away, and it's just a group effort. We have great writers and everybody putting this together. We have real Long Island people just coming in and helping, and I don't know.
That's where you shoot. You shoot.
We shoot it on Long Island. Yeah,
so you're right there at home, basically.
That was it. That was one of the big things that, you know, we kept saying to CBS, because they wanted us to come back and do the show, and we were like, all right, we'll do it, but we're going to do it here. And they were like, you'll never do it. We're going to do it here in Long Island. I mean, Los Angeles. And I kept telling my manager, I'm not doing it there. I don't want to, you know, I want to do it here if we can do it. And finally, we were able to, you know, they said, okay, you can do it there, which was great, because it was really, it's authentic to me. These people that are working on the show, we have Long Island comics, you know, we have, you know, all people working on the show, the grips from everybody, and it's nice.
Hey guy, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, you want some dinner?
Actually, I stopped at Enzo's for a slice.
Good, because I threw your meatloaf in the garbage, okay? You can't text me, you can't let me know what's going on.
I tried. I think there's a cell phone tower down. I couldn't get a signal.
Really, Mott? I taught you that excuse.
Oh, right. Sorry. Anyway, the place looks great. I love seeing all the kids getting along, making their little ornaments.
That's because they thought they were going for their Christmas tree tonight.
You know what? Let's just do that tomorrow. I'm exhausted. I worked all day.
And I didn't work all day? You know what? I'm starting to see why Cindy likes the casino so much.
I said I'm sorry.
You think I like being the finger wagger? Because I don't. I like having fun too, you know.
It's fun to watch. There's so much that's so relatable. There was one episode, the diet one, where, you know, you're challenging, you know, your cholesterol levels.
Right.
But it turns out your wife is the one threatening the insurance. That I've lived through that.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes it's not about weight and this and that, and just all of a sudden you get the genetic. You're like, oh, I'm okay. Yeah.
Right.
You know.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I go like, oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. But
so you think you're.
I thought that was real. That was really funny. That seems to be the direction of this series too, is just to make it so relatable.
Yeah. You know, that's it. I mean, at the end of each episode, we have a lot of people coming up, and we can tell they're laughing and enjoying because this is their lives. You know, this is it. You know, not just Long Island, but everywhere. You know, these people, they relate to it, and they're quoting the show and different scenes in this and that. And that's when you know you're connecting with them. For me, you know, that's when I feel like, okay, as opposed to them just saying they enjoy the show, they're coming up with specific stuff, so they're really watching, they're really enjoying it, you know, for specific reasons.
I also love the fact that, you know, I mean, in a lot of sitcoms, actors put their name in the title, and this is the first time you've done that. And it's a very clever title, Kevin Can Wait.
Right.
Was there any trepidation on your part to play Kevin
I
on
didn't
TV?
want to. I didn't want to. And the only reason I did is because everybody calls me Doug. So I said, all right, you know, so I go, all right, but I didn't want my name in the title. I don't like, you know, it's.
I Love Lucy.
Yeah, I know, and it's. But now I'm okay with it, and because it worked out. It was a hit. If it didn't, I didn't want my name in it. If it didn't work out, no, it worked out great, and it feels like you know, we're starting to hit a groove, and that was the one thing with the cast and everybody. It felt like we were, you know, the friends and everybody we've had on the show and the people. It felt like what takes normally a full season or whatever, we picked up pretty quickly with it. You know, like we started to get into a groove early on, and that's when it felt comfortable. It felt like familiar with these people, and it felt in a good way. And that's when you're comfortable. That's, I think, when the best comedy comes out. And
it's renewed for another season. How long do you want to play Kevin?
I enjoy it. You know, I hope it goes for a long run. You know, I mean, I really enjoy doing what we're doing, and I hope everybody on our show enjoys it, and I know the crew does, and I think we're just having a great time now, you know.
And you have you're an executive producer, the co-creator, and you have a lot of input into this, which is a good position to be in, I think, if you're going to do a television series.
It is. And CBS and Sony have been great with, you know, being great partners on it. And, you know, we've all been through it before, which is so nice. You know, that's, you know, we did it with the King of Queens, so it's nice to be able to have the shorthand to be able, you know, and talk to people and we know we kind of all have the same goal in mind, and it makes it a lot easier than kind of bumping through it with people you don't know and aren't familiar with.
It's great to see, you know, like Bob Newhart did it one after another. It was so great to see, but it always felt fresh.
Right.
You know, and this one looks like it's on that trajectory too.
Well, I hope so.
Well, thanks so much for coming out and talking to us.
Thank you,
good
Pete.
luck with Kevin Can Wait as the seasons go on, and want to see you in some more movies too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.